Hello everyone, good afternoon, dear authors and invited guests. Welcome to this technical session 3F. My name is Siddhyauti and I'll be your session moderator for this session. On behalf of Global Knowledge Research Foundation, it is my great pleasure to welcome you all to the ninth International Congress on Information and Communication Technology. The ninth edition of the conference is being organized in hybrid mode. The previous conference was an physical event organized in London on 19th and 20th Feb of 2024. This will be a virtual event that will be held via Zoom today and tomorrow, 21st and 22nd of Feb. I hope you will enjoy the knowledgeable and interactive session throughout the day. In this session, we will have six presentations. Each participant will be given a time span of 12 minutes for the presentation, 3 minutes for the Q&A with the chair. After 10 minutes, I will give a gentle reminder to wrap your presentation. Okay. And there is another request to all the participants to stay connected till the closing remarks. If you have any query or update, you can write it to me in the chat box. Just before we get started, I would like to introduce to the chairs of today's session. Riddhi, can you please show me the PPT? Can you please share your screen and show the chairs? Yes, so the first chair of today's session are Professor Timothy Adderley. Hello, sir. You were there for the first session as well, I think.
Yes, I was there. Good afternoon.
Yes. So I would like to give an intro about Professor Timothy Adderley. He is an enthusiast and disciplined person with background in project-based work within IT sector, educated sector, and banking industries. He is an accomplished and fluent communicator with strong investigation, problem-solving, and decision-making skills, combined with a pragmatic approach and sound business acumen with the ability to analyze information from a range of sources. So I would like to introduce the other chair for today's session. Can you please? So the other chair for today's session is Dr. Latika Desai. Ma'am, are you present right now? Are you with us?
Yes.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
So I would like to say a few words and give an intro about Latika ma'am as well. So, Dr. Latika Desai, ma'am, is at present working as an associate professor and head AIDS Engineering Department, Dr. D.Y. Patil College of Engineering and Innovation, Warli Campus, Pune, in India. She has total 25 years of teaching experience. She has published 33 papers in various journals. She is having two copyrights from the Government of India. Her area of interest includes digital electronics, data security, and embedded systems, IoT cloud. Thank you. Now I would like to proceed with the presentations. So the first presenter for today is Esteban Novillo. Sir, are you with us right now? Are you in the meeting? So the paper title is Cutting Edge Advanced Machine Learning Model for Enhanced Breast Cancer Diagnosis. Sir, are you present with us in the meeting? Or any co-author of this presentation? If anyone is present, please let us know. I suppose the presenter is not present with us for now. We'll just wait for a minute and then we will proceed to the next presentation. Okay, I think he's not present with us. We'll proceed with the next presenter. Can you please change the slide? Okay, so the next presenter is Kanwal ma'am. Ma'am, are you with us right now? You were there in the last session, so I guess you are with us. You can start. You can share your screen and start the presentation. Uh, okay. Actually, Sumrina ma'am is also not present right now, so we'll proceed to the next next participant. Okay. So, Bogle ma'am, are you with us right now? Can you present? If you're there, please respond in the meeting, ma'am. Okay, so we will move on to the next presenter, I guess. Riddhi, can you please change the slide? Who is the next presenter? Muhammad Tariq Aziz, sir, are you present with us?
Yes, ma'am, I am present here. Thank you so much.
Yes, can you give your presentation?
Uh, yes, ma'am, I can give presentation.
Okay, you can share your screen and present. Thank you. Sorry for the inconvenience of the absent members.
Hello, ma'am. Are you seeing me?
Yes,
Yes,
yes, we can see you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for all who are related to this conference. Good evening to all. I am Muhammad Tarek Aziz, uh, 9th International Congress Information and Communication Technology. Our paper ID is 696 and the manuscript title is Machine Learning Driven Job Recommendation Harnessing Genetic Algorithm. At the initial part, our main topic is genetic algorithm based job recommendation. Actually, in the world, all unemployment want job based on their academic qualifications, skills, and so on. Uh, so, a job recommendation system's primary focus is to reduce the gap between organization and candidates by providing personalized job posting that reflect each candidate unique qualities and goals. Actually, our study focuses on applying genetic algorithms to build a job recommendation system using online job portal data. So, in our study, the main research challenge is that uh, extract the used dataset into binary encoding technique to evaluate the best performance and feature selection, and then measure the actual fitness value using multiple variants of genetic algorithm. Our main aim is to find out the best recommended candidates who are suitable for the job based on their qualification and skill. The main objective in this study is to create a job recommendation system using genetic algorithms, and another target is to find out the best candidates from the applied candidates who wants actually the job. So it has some contribution. In our paper contribution, we have basically four contribution. These are employing binary encoding techniques. We pre-processed the hybrid dataset which comprised textual, numeric, and real valued number mixed with data into Boolean values. Another contribution is that the used dataset was actually optimized using generic multivariants of genetic algorithm, and the optimal candidates were identified based on the largest fitness value. The suggested strategy uses a natural selection technique to extract the best chromosome from the entire sample. Entire sample means actually main data set over generation. E relationship between generation and fitness value is represented graphically in the outcome. These are the main contribution of this paper. In the next topic, we want to go through proposed methodology or system architecture. Actually, this is our main framework. Initially, the first task is to load data set. Actually, this data set in CSV format. And then next part is to data pre-processing. I will explain next the pre-processing steps and then the feature selection. In this step, actually data augmentation is optional. Whenever need, we will try to augment data. Based on feature selection technique, we will select some features from the main data set and we will convert it into the binary technique. I means the selected feature will transfer to 1 or 0 Boolean value. And then we'll select an appropriate model, which we chose genetic algorithm, and then find out the classified result or optimized results. This genetic algorithm will train and and the model will classify or optimize the data that are the best solution. The solution will get based on the highest fitness value. Fitness value is a term used in genetic algorithm, and the best solutions will recommended for the job. This is the last scenario who will get the job, and best solution will get the job. Actually, in the dataset technique, actually our paper we collected a dataset from the online. This is the link from Kaggle dataset, and it has to 12 feature such as user ID, name, age, gender, academic background, field of study, skills, industry interest, job type interest, location interest, salary, desert company. Based on feature selection technique, we can select some feature from this. In our study, we selected user ID, age, and salary uh, for the genetic algorithm. Data pre-processing in the part to pre-process data, we remove non-values from the data set and fill out missing value, remove redundant value, and removed outlier. Then next part is two feature selection technique. We selected three attributes from the dataset: user ID, age, salary. And then we train by genetic algorithm. The genetic algorithm, actually it is a search and optimization technique, and it has some term: fitness evaluation, natural selection, crossover, and then mutation. The task of genetic algorithm: load preprocessed individual and we will define the parameter size of the genetic algorithm and function call or function definition part. And based on the selection, we can evaluate the fitness and select best candidates that has the highest fitness value. And we will cross over among selected candidate or selected individual. And then after crossover, we will get office ping, generated office ping. It may be 2, 4, or a number of office ping. We will do mutation and then combine old and new population if best fitness. It is the actually uh, decision making. If we get the best fitness, then we will select best solution. Otherwise, it will go through another loop and selection another best candidate. Natural selection. Actually, our algorithm work randomly selection process based on natural selection. It has some technique to select attribute. We select user ID, age, salary, and these data set are randomly selected. This value is randomly selected, and then evaluation of fitness: age, salary, age, salary. They find 50%, 75%, 25%, 75% fitness value. Based on this, the work will continue. Crossover and mutation. This is the methodology of crossover. Parent 1 and parent 2 are selected for the crossover. And after crossover, we will get two offspring 1 and offspring 2, 782, 159. This will exchange. This technique is called single point crossover. Another technique is 2 point crossover. We used single point crossover here. And we got offspring 1, offspring 2. Actually, it will offspring 2. In this system, mutation is the process to change one bit value to another for increasing the fitness value. In the offspring 1, 5 is changed to 1 and 1 and 7. 1 and 7 uh, actually it has a correction. 7 is remain. It has a correction. This is the any bit will change by another bit. Another bit is new bit to find out best fitness value, and these are the mutation. And the another important part is result analysis. In our study, we got some result part. These are variation of generic algorithm to produce the best solution. We got an average fitness score in the graphic, best solution based on highest fitness value, and then finally graphical representation of fitness versus generations. After the after the study or experimental work, we got this candidate are recommended for the job 0.26, 0.97, and so on. It has some sample. Actually, in our experiment, we have more than 10 or exact number of solution who are selected for the job based on their fitness value ascending order. And this is the graphical representation based on the generation and fitness evaluation. We see that the highest fitness value is around 11. Around 11 in the training part, it will increase to generation 60 and then something low, and then it has a it is based on the data set. At last, in this research, we developed a search method to determine who should be considered for a position and who is not, based on a genetic algorithm. With the help of this pipeline, educated individuals can use web hosting to get right employment. We want to utilize an ensemble method in future based on deep learning to identify and categorize the most appropriate applicants from the hybrid dataset. Thank you all. If you have any query, please.
Thank you so much, Mohammed. I have two questions. I think my first question is, did you benchmark your results with other genetic algorithms, or did you benchmark your work with other algorithms, or you really use just one algorithm? And if you only use genetic algorithm, what was your motivation for selecting this algorithm?
Sorry, sir. Selection.
Yes, you chose genetic algorithm. Was there a reason for choosing genetic algorithm, and did you
Okay, sir. I
compare?
understand. Please.
Yeah,
Actually, we select genetic algorithm because genetic algorithm is a searching and optimization technique. Our main target is to find out those person who are uh, suitable for the job based on their qualification, skills, and so on. So we know that genetic algorithm is a searching and optimization technique. So we selected this technique for our study.
all right, thank you.
Hello, sir. Any other query, please?
Mohammad Tarin Aziz, nice presentation. I have one question. Why you are used a single point crossover?
Okay, thank you, ma'am. I'm explain it. Actually, crossover- single point crossover used to find out best fitness. We can use 2 point crossover. In the single over crossover is simple to use and uh, so much easy to implement. If we use 2 point crossover, then we need some time. In the future, we can use it. Uh, so it has no problem to use to choose and implement in 2 point crossover. 2 point crossover, the dataset will partitioned into three types. It has two types. N- it has two types, uh, and 2 point crossover will divide whole data into three parts, and they will exchange, mutate, and so on. So for the time uh, time in decrement, we choose single point crossover. In the future, we can use multiple crossover or 2 point crossover, etc. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Over to Siddhi.
Thank you so much, sir, for your lovely presentation. Now we'll move on to the next presenter. So the first presenter, Esteban sir, are in the meeting. So he'll be presenting the next presentation.
Okay, hello everyone. Just give me 1 minute to share the presentation, right?
Yes.
A question, which one of the papers is, because I have to present two and I didn't read right now. Could you please share it again?
Sir, you can try now. You can share the screen.
Yes, I have to present two papers. I don't know which one is right now.
The first one, cutting edge advanced machine learning model for enhanced breast cancer diagnostics.
Oh,
That's the
okay.
first one. Yes.
Breast cancer, right. Give me 1 minute. All right. Could you please confirm that it is being shared?
Yes, it is. We can see your screen, sir.
Okay. So, hello everyone. My name is Esteban Novillo, and me with my team that is formed by Maria Jose Montes de Oca and Remigio Hurtado. We developed a cutting-edge advanced machine learning model to enhance breast cancer diagnosis. Actually, this is part of my titulation program. So, we work at way study, and Remigio works at the Universidad Politécnica Salesiana in Cuenca, Ecuador. So let's begin. First of all, my presentation will have 6 phases. The first one is the introduction, then we will go through the aim, the methodology, and of course, then the results and discussion. Finally, some conclusions, and if you are interested, I put some references here. So, first, as an introduction, breast cancer is considered a disease where the breast cells grow without control. This kind of cancer can spread to other organs or tissues through the blood and lymph vessels. This is what we call metastasis, all right? And this is pretty important. The diagnosis methodologies right now are related to mammograms, MRIs, blood tests, blood scans, ultrasound, and biopsy. When we arrive to a biopsy, this is pretty bad because this is the last phase when we almost are nearly confirming that we are on a BRAD pretty high. So the first period of the first record of breast cancer was during the Hippocrates era. They used to simply do some touch to the body to try to measure which was the advance of this. But actually, since the 20th century, we got the mammograms and the MRIs. And at the end of the 20th century and the beginning of the 21st, we entered to the digitalization era. During this, we could learn from others and share the data. This is awesome because when we share data, we can also learn a lot of and also develop new techniques like the one that I am presenting right now. So then we go through machine learning. Machine learning is an attached brand of computer science and of course of artificial intelligence that is the boom right now, right? And this is focused on the implementation of different kinds of data and sophisticated algorithms to simulate the human learning methods. Actually, machine learning grow with the base of the computer brain theory, where Pinto actually defined this as the brain works with some complex calculations, but those complex calculations could be done with a simple one. This theory was is now it is not working right now to explain the brain, but it led us to develop some machine learning models, and almost everyone is based on this theory. It was not good to explain the brain, but it was good to develop machine learning models. Something crazy, right? Which was our aim? Our aim was to present a novel segmentation model to increase the quality measures applied to the detections of benign and malignant pathologies in the context of breast cancer through the application of some convolutional operations. Then with these convolutional operations, we did some segmentation procedures, and with this, we trained some bagging support classifiers, and we done a technique called bagging to optimize the diagnostic process. So first of all, the methodology starts with a dataset. Also, before I continue, this presentation was made by my titulation work. So as I live in Ecuador, some of the parts are in Spanish, so I'm sorry for that. Okay, so the dataset that we used actually, is called the Chinese mammography dataset. It is a pretty complete dataset that has 5,202 images from 1,775 patients. Why do we have those impairments on the images? Because some patients have their two breasts with tumors or only one. And with that, we get some sub-datasets that are formed of 4 images and other ones that only have 2, right? But this dataset at the beginning had a big problem. It is not well balanced, and it had 4,098 cases of malignant tumors and calcifications, which, as is well known, is not good to train any machine learning model. So what we've done is applied some data mutation techniques, and we raised the dataset to 8,188 images and maintaining the same number of patients. It's important also to say that on this dataset, almost all the patients are on pretty low stages of this disease. And this is also pretty important because mammographies are usually applied when you are in a pretty early stage of diagnosis. So if you could diagnose here with a pretty high precision and specificity, it will be amazing, right? So with this data set, we apply the preprocessing. The preprocessing here is like the core of everything. Why? First of all, we applied a Gaussian filter. The Gaussian filter let us to enhance the image by making it, when you apply some Gaussian filter to mammography, it let us to get better results as the image get softer. Then we applied a Sobel technique to enhance borders. Actually, Sobel let us to detect them, but if you add the detected borders to the result of the image preprocessed with the Gaussian filter, you get an image like the original one with enhanced borders. The enhanced borders and the application of Sobel here corresponds to the detection of calcifications. During breast cancer, you have like a very wide kind of things that could make you have cancer, but there are two that are mainly the most common, and one of them is the calcifications. So with Sobel, we notice that they are enhanced. And then we applied the black hat operation. Black hat is an operation that appeared several years ago and also contains a lot of more simplex convolutional operations inside. And this led us to highlight the regressions. Why? Because in the other hand, also from calcifications, we have tumors. And tumors are commonly with a border that could be detected by Sobel, but the inside of the tumor is commonly black. And when in an image we lose this on the preprocessing, it's not a good idea because we're losing something important of the data. So with black hat, we highlight this on a very specific pattern. And with this, we apply some thresholding, and actually the thresholding is from when the image, when each pixel has a value more than 100, it gets the same pixel. And with this result, we apply some aggregation. We aggregate the image that was the result after the black hat operation with the image that was the result after the thresholding, right? With that, we get a preprocessed image that we will see on the results. It's amazing. It could even help only with only the. It could help to diagnose even for the doctors just watching. I will explain it briefly when we get to the results. Then we get to the segmentation that I was talking before. With the segmentation, we apply another thresholding at the beginning. Why? Because the thresholding now is applied to the aggregated image. And then we dilate some pixels. And with the dilatation of pixels, it is demonstrated mathematically in this research that when you dilate them with a kernel of 30 per 30, we get very specific zones that act actually the relevant zones. And when we do some control detection, we get a mask after the dilatation. This mask is applied to the preprocessed image, and then we get a segmented image. So this segmentation model is briefly and principally designed mathematically to be used after the preprocessing process used here. So, and then we trained 3 models and we proposed the combination of the SVM 2 and 3. Okay, the first SVM, that is a support vector machine, was only to validate our results and our research. After we done some preprocessing, and some segmentation, we train a support vector machine. And then we done some prediction and evaluation. But here we get to the innovation. After everything, we train a second or a third one, as you would like to, support vector machine, but only with the preprocessed images. And combining the technique of using pipelines, we done some bagging with the result of the preprocessing and the result of the trained super vector machine that was trained with the segmentation. And this was amazing. Why? Bagging also help us to get better results when we have one vector machine or any machine learning model that is pretty good with false positives and with true positives, but is bad with false positives. It gets higher with them. And when you have in the other hand something that is good with true negatives but bad with false negatives, you can use bagging to balance them, and actually it works amazing. And which were our results? First of all, I would like to show you why we've done the processing like that. This is the original mammography. Actually, we have three cases here. The first one contains some calcifications, and the second and third one contains some tumors. On the first one, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but there are some microcalcifications here that actually are benign, but an expert, a doctor, could lose them if it evaluates this mammogram quickly. In the second and third case, you get some tumors, and actually there are pretty big, and I choose these mammographies to show you how bad could breast cancer could be. So after preprocessing, we get this. In the first image, now we could clearly see the calcification on the breast. And in the second and third one, we could see the tumor has been actually, it's pretty easy to notice it. And actually in the third case, it was a patient that suffered from the tissue in the surroundings were also contaminated. So actually in the clinical data, she died because other organs were compromised. Then we do the mask that I explained before with this contour detection, and we get this. So we've done that segmentation here. This segmentation tries also to take the tissue that is surrounding the relevant zone. Why? Because when we get the tissue that is surrounding it, we could also determine, and it is pretty important to show if it is benign or malignant. Because a malignant one will be also producing metastasis. On the other hand, the benignant not. As in the first case, it is a benignant diagnosis. So we get to the results, and we see that actually working with segmentation is pretty good. The super vector machine with segmentation gets a sensitivity of 92%, specificity of 97%. But when we apply the bagging, and the bagging with segmentation that I propose here, we get a sensitivity of 95% and a specificity of 96%, which is amazing. It is more, on this stage of diagnosis, it is more than any human expert could get. So, in conclusion, this study introduced an advanced machine learning model to improve breast cancer diagnosis through the image segmentation bagging techniques using support vector classified. I choose support vector classified because they are easy to explain why they work to an expert. Right now we have a problem on medicine, and that's the explanation of why machine learning models are not widely used on daily diagnose, and is that machine learning models are considered as dark boxes, and super vector classifiers could be at least easy in this world to explain how they work when we get the weights. Then, with this study, we demonstrate that doing a good preposition and a correct segmentation significantly the diagnostic accuracy, precision, sensitivity, and specificity. In medicine, we are mostly centered on sensitivity and specificity, right? And to finish, the use of bagging to combine SBC models results us in a robust diagnostic tool, offering a promise alternative to more complex methodologies. So finally, this research underscores the importance of machine learning medical imaging, suggesting further exploration of simplified segmentation techniques and optimization of model parameters for early cancer detection, which is one of the current problems in medicine and has been since the known of medicine. So here are some references, and if there is any question, I will be happy to answer.
Informative presentation. I have one question. You are used bagging with SVM, right?
Correct.
So have you checked any other previous researchers' work with your work?
Yes, actually, I've done some wide research to check on what were the most advanced techniques, and no one was using bagging. I don't know why, because bagging is sure that it is pretty promising combining simple techniques, and the related work proposes actually everyone is going through neural networks. But neural networks are quite difficult to explain to a doctor why it is what they are working. When you go to a hospital and you say, okay, I have a model that has 95, 96% of accuracy, precision, sensitivity, or specificity, it could be any one of them. And they ask you why. And to explain them mathematically is pretty hard. And in neural networks, almost every machine learning model is pretty hard to explain. That's why I propose to use more simple methods like superpaired machines, or actually random forest could be a good option too as future work, because they are mathematically easy to explain to an expert.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Esteban, for that brilliant presentation. I have one question for you. How do you compare your proposed method with the traditional diagnostic methods?
Actually, that's a pretty good question. And when you do some research, you can notice that there are not as quite many data of how precise.
Ahmad sir, I kindly request you to turn
Hello,
off your mic
hello,
actually.
hello, Esteban.
Sorry.
Hello, Esteban.
Yes, I think there are
I
two
have a,
questions right now.
Okay. I thought
yeah,
it was okay.
I,
You may ask questions. Sorry
hello,
for the
Esteban.
interruption.
Can you go through your accuracy slide? And it is easy to.
Okay, let's go to it here.
Okay, so you show that you applied SBM with segmentation and segmentation with bagging, and the accuracy differ not much, and you applied SBM without preprocessing and segmentation also. Okay,
Yes.
so what's the accuracy that SBM you applied without preprocessing and segmentation?
Oh, actually, I didn't put here. I will try to answer the two questions that overlapped. Okay.
Okay.
First of all, as I was saying, I don't remember actually the first question, sorry. But I will answer it after this.
Oh, right.
Actually, when I tested the supervector machine only with the data, without processing, without segmentation, without anything, and only doing a flatten of pixels, it got less than 70% of accuracy. I didn't check any other of the parameters because I knew that it will happen based on my previous work. If you use super vector machines to process images, you should know that they are not optimized for them, but they are pretty good. But also, they must be with some mathematical progress to get pretty good results. The preprocessing phase is pretty important here, and also in almost everything doing image processing with machine learning models. That's also another conclusion that you could say.
Okay. Thank you. You also, yeah, you applied only SBM. Okay. After pre-processing, the result is very good, but we know that medical data is very sensitive, and 96% accuracy. We want 100% accuracy in medical issue. So, have you tried other machine learning model or algorithm to improve your accuracy?
Yes, right now actually I'm trying to train a UNet, that is a new segmentation technique to that is based on neural networks. But as you said, the clinical data is quite sensitive, and this is pretty difficult to get good data, principally with the early stages that we are trying to focus. And I showed you in the results two mammographies that were preprocessed outside of this dataset because they were pretty advanced. This dataset contains mostly principal stages of breast cancer.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, best of luck.
Okay, any other
Hello?
question of if the guy that asked the second question would like to repeat it because I don't remember it.
Hello, hello, sir. I have a question, please. If you can clarify why your task is superior from other existing work. We know that actually in the cancer side, many papers are now presented in online. But my question is that why your task is superior from other existing work? Can you clarify it, please? Tell me something.
Of course. This work is being developed to work here with a business or a company that is called Solca. And my work tries to enhance the results because we would like to implement this in real life. And there is a lot of work that have been done with clinical data on breast cancer and almost every type of cancer that has public datasets. But you cannot explain them to a doctor, to a medic, because they don't know as much mathematics. Usually, there are some amazing exceptions, but they don't know as many mathematics the computer science engineer knows. And for them, yeah, they actually a good expert gets mostly 60 or 70% of sensitivity, and/or specificity underdiagnosed on these stages. So our aim is to help them to do a pre-diagnose, and then the expert, the doctor, could give us the final result for them. We should remember that doing some machine learning models applied any in any disease should not be focused on saying you have this or you don't have this, talking about any disease. We should focus on doing some pre-diagnose. Then an expert should evaluate this, and based on the results and why the model produced that output, it should say to the patient, okay, actually you have this, or actually you don't have this, and the model was wrong. Okay?
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
So I think we finished. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your presentation. And now we'll proceed to the next presenter. Actually, we are running out of time, so I would request all the presenters, participants, to keep a track of time. 12 minutes for the presentation and then 3 minutes for the Q&A. Thank you. The next presenter. So the next presenter is present with us. Sumrina, ma'am, are you with us right now?
Yes, I'm here. I'm waiting.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Ma'am, you may start now.
Okay, thank you so much. First of all, thank you and hello everyone. So I will share my screen and I'm going to talk about a research that is actually primary focus of the research is, I hope you can see the screen. This is actually the topic, which is actually deep learning for
Yes, ma'am.
generating synthetic traffic data. The research was conducted at Hamzat University at the Kaiser Lab, which was under the Freedom Project with wireless cars. Basically, the motive behind this was that, as we know that the traffic waypoint data is very much important to understand different patterns in traffic and hence come up with different solutions for better traffic management and other things like autonomous traffic and so on. But the problem right now is that this traffic data, this waypoint data is highly sensitive, and there are some ethical and privacy concerns which are actually prime factors. That's why you cannot get the waypoints data very without any quite confidential and other like you have to keep that quite confidential and you have to anonymize the data and process it. And most of the time it is really costly to get the actual data. And then that's the things. These are the things which are actually hindering the research and development in the to analyze the traffic data and come up with the new solutions for the traffic congestion and the other problems that the big cities especially are facing right now in the world. And of course, the other thing motivation was that, okay, in case of if you want to create this in the artificial data, you may be able to create the situations which may not be possible to get from the real traffic data. So this was the other incentive or motivation to come up with try to come up with an idea to how to create the synthetic data. Right, that can help in the research. So based on these motivations, we had actually we have this project where we had actually tried to combine the machine learning and deep learning methods with the synthetic data, which was generated using a sumo simulator to come up with a data set that can be helpful, which can be closer to the real data, and that can be used for the research purposes whenever there is a case that it may not be feasible to get the real waypoint data for traffic analysis and experimental design. right? So for that we have conducted this research, and as part of this research, this paper presents some of our findings towards that goal. Of course, it's not the optimum that we have reached, but this is one of the steps that may help us or the further researchers to get in future, to learn from it and come up with something better in future. Right. So of course, there had been many research in that field, like people try to come up with with different ideas to develop the synthetic data based on different factors. And I don't have time to like elaborate each of one of them, but just to give it a view. And if you want more detail, you can look into the paper and try to figure out what are the other things which has been done and are being done in this field. Right. So I will come to our technology and methods that we have utilized. Just to summarize that, we experimented with the machine learning and deep learning regressors to predict the internal parameters for the buses, which were actually, I will give you the detail about, okay, what is this, everything going on, but just to give you a number of methods in deep learning and machine learning that we have used. So I hope you are familiar with those names. And we use the Sumo simulator to generate the synthetic data. So actually, this is a simulator which is freely available online if you want to do different kind of experiments with the traffic in different cities. You actually simulate the traffic data into that simulator, and when you run the synthetic traffic on this simulator, you get the recording of the waypoints, the speed, and the other factors which can be then integrated with the actual traffic data to come up with the prediction for the unseen scenarios. So that is what we have done. Like what we did was actually, we generated the synthetic data. We had actually the synthetic data from a city, suppose city A, and we had the actual bus internal parameters from the real city in Sweden. And then we integrated them together to come up with a predicted value of internal parameters. So this was the idea. Okay, the internal parameters were for real bus data in a certain city in Sweden. And these parameters that we had predicted, of course, this was a time series data. There was a timestamp for each waypoint that we had, and the predicted internal parameters were wet tank air pressure for the bus, longitudinal accuracy, engine speed, fuel rate. These were among some of the features that we experimented with. Okay, and for the synthetic data, we have actually we get a simulator for the Monaco city, which is available in the reference as well. This is already available synthetic simulator for the Monaco city. So from that city, we have utilized the data to be part of the synthetic part of the data. This is the city in Italy from which we generate. When you run the simulator, you get the vehicle waypoints data. So that data was used for the GPS locations and for the speed as a synthetic part. Okay, so this is an example of a map. This for the Italy for the Monaco city. So this was a small city for which we gathered the synthetic data by running the simulator, and that data was integrated with the actual points to predict the model. Okay, so this is actually the proposed method. What happened was that we had real bus movement data from a city in Sweden, on which we trained our deep learning or machine learning models. We validated the model and then predicted the signal by signal, I mean that these internal parameters like the tank air pressure and these things for the unseen situations with a certain uncertainty level, like we use the 90% confidence interval to get the predicted value for that city. So we estimated the uncertainty in the model and then incorporated those features into the synthetic data. Right, so this was the overall structure of how it goes. Okay, so for that, it was not like we had certain features already. We had the GPS locations, we had the speed, and we had the actual wet air tank pressure and engine speed and fuel rate, etc. There were certain features that we have to engineer. Some of them were like gradient of the longitude, gradient of the latitude at the at each waypoint, the elevation that a vehicle encounter when it is moving on the road, and vehicle acceleration and slope encountered by the vehicle. So these were the things that we calculated and used in our for training the model. Right. So first thing was that we actually trained our model. And for that, for the model training, we split the data into that 70-30 portion. 70% of the data was used for training the data and 30% was used for validation. And after that, it was predicted, of course, once your model is ready, we use that model to predict these signals, wet air tank pressure, engine speed, and so on for the new data. That was for the Monaco data that we have generated using the synthetic simulator. So this was how we transferred the learning of the signals from one actual data to the synthetic data. And of course, there are other hazards which were involved, like is the elevation same in Monaco and the other cities? So these are a few things which actually, that's why we have selected a certain confidence interval. Within that confidence interval, we can say that the results were as they were. I will tell you. Okay. So once the data was trained and validated, we predicted the internal parameters for at 90% confidence interval, right? And then that result are here. I can show you. So the results were reported using the root mean square error and R2. So I can say that the best performance was achieved with most of the time with gradient boost. And you can see that here. So it was a quite successful rate of error in case of some of the regressors. But keep in mind that this is within 90% confidence interval. What I mean by the confidence interval is that okay, I have to make it, yeah. Okay, so now if you can see here, the signal is like, this is our predicted signal, the red one. And this blue one is the actual signal. And this green and yellow lines are the upper and lower bound. As you can see that, okay, within that level of uncertainty, like with a certain uncertainty level, I can say we can say that okay, the prediction was as given in the table. Sorry. Okay. So this actually these plots give you some of the insight into okay how the fuel rate was predicted, the prediction accuracy of the prediction error in the fuel rate, as well as in the for as per different models. Yeah. Okay. And then further, the same things are available for okay, now the other thing that we predicted was that okay, what if there are different road situations? So for example, maybe sometimes there was a straight road. So what is the confidence interval on the straight road? And similarly, if there is a road which is a highway or there is a small road, so we experimented with different chunks of the environment, and to see that what kind of prediction affects this kind of scenario. If, like, for example, you are on a totally straight road, and maybe sometimes this is a hilly road, and this kind of different situations, and how these situations actually affect your prediction. So this was also predicted and added as part of our results. So similarly, you can see that these are the other predictions that we have for different parameters, like for wet tank air pressure, with different using different models. So this is a set of so overall, this all you may see the kind of the same kind of graphs, but the idea to convey is that in a certain confidence interval, you can be confident, okay, you can predict the parameters, and once you have a refinedly predicted parameter, you can use it to create a synthetic data for traffic that can be used for further investigation in case you cannot get the actual data, because this is not readily available. The actual data is not always available for the scientific and research purposes because of the confidentiality factors. Okay, so this is actually the basic thing. And then there are results which are based on the different, like this is for the fuel rate. And then if you, for example, predict the bus, we had different experiments, like we predicted on different, for different seasons, like some of the waypoints were for winter and some of the waypoints were for summer. Similarly, we had the bus data for old buses and new buses. So how this is impacting our accuracy. Similarly, we predicted the signals on the straight road as well as in a roundabout. So as we can say that this is an experiment which has been performed, and I cannot say that this is 100% like accurate. It doesn't provide you the 100% validity, or sometimes you will say that mean square error is quite high, because this is not something which is like perfect in its, but it is a direction that can be chosen. Further investigation can be performed, and in future maybe there can be better experiments can be performed to pursue this goal. Right, so this is again for the tank pressure as well as for the engine speed. So these are the experiments and their results, which has been performed to predict different internal parameters based on different conditions. Right, okay, so just to give you an idea that how we get the, so these are the different conditions. You can see that where we have tried to predict the internal parameters. So for example, in a straight road or in a roundabout, or this kind of, like in Monaco, you can say that, okay, this is a quite, the road, this condition is quite different. So these kind of roads were there where we tried to predict the internal parameters based on different road situations. So that was actually the whole idea of this research. So what is the implication? What are the applications of these things? Of course, there are ongoing studies on traffic data. What are these? For sometimes it is for city planning, for the traffic signal planning. It is also, there's ongoing research for autonomous vehicle development, and again for public safety and the emergency response. This kind of synthetic data may help in different kind of applications, and it can be something that can help do different kind of experiments and accordingly come up with the solution at different levels. Right. So what do we have a conclusion here that, okay, we are actually in a right now we are at a place where our prime concern is the traffic congestion, because there are a lot of cars and a lot of transportation involved in the big cities. The other thing is like fuel, and a lot of fuel emission is making the environment polluted for the human race, and as well as for the environment, for animals and plants. So now we have to come up with the solution to reduce the fuel emission, as well as to reduce the traffic congestion, especially in the big cities. So for that kind of research, there is a lot of research going on in that case. For that kind of research, the prime thing which is required is the synthetic data. So that synthetic data is something which is not very easy to get. So in that case, one of the solution can be to develop the synthetic data, which can help in keeping this research goal alive. So based on that motivation, here is the research and its finding. And in future, hopefully this can be further investigated and something better can come up, and some new research can be developed on the basis of these findings. I'm hopeful about that. So these are certain relevant references if someone is interested. And then at the end, we have the questions answer session. So thank you for listening. And so if you have any question, please let me know.
Nice presentation. No questions from my side. Over to Timothy, sir.
Thank you for the beautiful presentation. I don't have any question. It's very straightforward. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your presentation. Now we'll proceed to the next presenters. If there are any questions, you may ask right now, all the participants. If there aren't any questions, we'll proceed. I would like to remind everyone again to keep a track of the time because we are running out of the time, and please keep a track of time. I'll remind you after 12 minutes you have to in 12 minutes you have to finish your presentation, and for next 3 minutes of a Q&A. Okay, thank you. Yamlak ma'am, are you with us right now? Are you in the presentation? Are you in the Zoom meet?
Yes.
You may start your presentation.
Please let me share my screen. Okay. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Yamla Kashrat Bugale. Today, I'll be presenting the intelligent malaria detection and species classification, which is a case of Rwanda. So diving straight into the introduction, when we start asking the question, what is malaria? It is a disease caused by a Plasmodium parasite, which is transmitted through the bites of infected female Anopheles mosquitoes. In general, there are 4 species that infect the bloods of human. These are namely Plasmodium falciparum, Plasmodium malariae, Plasmodium ovale, and Plasmodium vivax. And according to the most recent WHO's report, there is a rapid escalation of malaria cases, which is around 247 million. Out of this number, 95% is attributed to the sub-Saharan region of Africa, even though there are cases in parts of Asia and South America. When we move to the objectives of this research, the first one is to develop a robust model that will help healthcare professionals in accurately identifying malaria species and classifying those. The next one is to utilize the images we have collected in a lab that was prepared using the infected blood samples of patients. The other one is to evaluate the performance of the convolutional neural network architectures for the purpose of detection and classification within the context of the faster RSNN model, which is our preferred architecture for this study. So the architectures we will compare include the VGG16, ResNet 50, and the MobileNet. And the last one is to address the complexities associated with malaria diagnosis in Rwanda, which is our case study, making it ideal because of its high prevalence in malaria cases and constraints in resources. So when we come to the related works, in general, when blood samples or blood smears are prepared, usually a drop of blood is taken and it will be sprayed into a slide. And the blood could be in a way that it's thick or thin layered. So both come with their pros and cons. And most studies have shown that the thick blood sample preparation has shown an 11 times higher sensitivity compared to the thin blood smears. So as a result, we have chosen to follow this track. And there are also different approach to study the malaria in the context of detection and classification. These are the single cell detection, and the other one is analyzing the entire patch or the entire field. The feasibility of this depends on factors such as the thickness of the blood smear. For instance, for single cell detection, we need to utilize the thin blood smear because that way we can observe the cells separately alongside the parasites attached to them. But if we want to utilize the thick blood smears for single cell detection, it would require us many steps of image analysis. The other one is machine learning approach, particularly the deep learning methods. They have shown a better performance compared to the traditional ones, which usually require manual feature engineering. When I move straight to the methodology, we have utilized the deep learning techniques for detection and species classification tasks. More specifically, we used the convolutional neural networks. And for this study, the faster RSNN architecture, which has two components, mainly the object detection and image classification, was utilized. For the data collection, the images we used in this study were sourced from the Rwandan Biomedical Center, which is a central facility for where like all the data in the country is sent for diagnosis and research purpose. And the blood smear samples were captured using an Olympus camera, which is specifically made for this purpose, and it is mounted on the eyepiece of a microscope, and it will be connected to a device using a USB. And the data, or which is the image in our case, is uploaded to a cloud-based web application. And during the data collection, we had made sure about the ethical data usage and privacy, as in keeping confidential the details of the patient's blood sample and all the other details. Before doing any other image analysis procedures, we started by annotating and labeling the image we have collected. This was done by working closely with expert parasitologists, and we had followed the regions, or we had outlined the regions with visible malaria parasite instances using bounding boxes. And we have done this for the 4 parasite species we had considered in our study. Following this, we had done some processing and data augmentation. Since some of the images we had collected did not have a similar image contrast, we had to do some image enhancements such as normalization. And following this, to make up for the small volume of the dataset we had used augmentation techniques such as horizontal and vertical flipping so as not to deform the structures of the parasites. These are the images we have collected from the lab for the 4 species. For the model architecture of our preferred CNN, the fast CNN, it has 2 components. The first one is the one that does the object detection. This part has the region proposal network, which proposes the interest or what we are looking for. In our case, the parasites. It will show the region of interest, and then this region of interest will further be processed and fed into the convolutional neural network, or the ones we refer here as the backbone architectures, and they are the ones we are comparing against one another. So for this study, we picked the ResNet 50, MobileNet, and BGG 16. This is the overview of our work. We have the image collected from the lab. We did image annotation, and then normalization and augmentation. We split the data into 70% for training and the remaining for testing. And finally, we will have the object detection and classification task. For the training approach, for the hardware, we had used a GPU T4 x2 for accelerated capacity, and we used the PyTorch framework, and the data augmentation was only done on the training set. In addition to that, specific parameters were set. We came to reach to these parameters after going through many ablations and hyperparameter tuning. These are we used a 0.01 learning rate initially, and a scheduler, which is the step learning rate scheduler, was adjusted so that it could dynamically change the learning rate after every 20 training steps, and the data was fed in batches of 10, and an optimizer of ADMW was used. So this is the graph we had plotted using the matrix mean average precision and recall for the 3 species, and this was plotted against the number of epochs we had trained. Okay, so for the performance metric, we had utilized the mean average precision and the recall. Out of these 3 backbone architectures in the context of faster RSNet, the ResNet has outperformed the remaining 2. The ResNet has a moderate number of parameters compared to the remaining 2, and it also took a moderate amount of time while training. The MobileNet comes second. This one has a small number of parameters compared to the 2, and we were able to train this faster than the others. That was mainly because of its small number of parameters, as well as its design, like its initial design was for mobile devices and these embedded small devices. And the last one was BGG 16, which I would say did not have a good result. That was mainly because it has a very large parameter and it has a deep architecture, and it required us to train it more than what we had spent for the other 2, and it needs more parameter tuning. So these are the results we have found, and these are the images of the detected and classified species of the malaria parasites. So for the key findings, we can say that the backbone architecture choice could significantly impact the malaria diagnosis within the context of faster RSNet, and the ResNet 50 has outperformed the other backbone architectures in its ability to learn intricate features of the parasites. And another key finding is that we have observed that there is a proficient performance in classifying both trophozoites and gametocytes within Plasmodium falciparum species was observed. These are the early and late stages of the Plasmodium falciparum species. Even though they have different structures, the model was able to learn and classify both as Plasmodium falciparums. So what were the limitations of our study? There were cases where our model was mistaking artifacts for parasites and cases of misclassifications. These artifacts are small colorings that look a lot more like the parasites, but are resulting due to the preparation of the slides and the stains used while doing the blood smear preparation in the lab. And there were also cases of false positive detection. These were particularly for species with smaller number of data sets. And when we move to the implications, we can say that deep learning architectures could help in improving the malaria diagnosis procedure. And our study also implies that there is an importance of further refinement in the labeling process and image enhancing. And as a future research work, we could focus on expanding the scope of detection to include different stages within each species, so as to include the severity of the malaria infection. So these are the references. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, please.
Nice presentation, Yamla. Which data sets you are used for your experimentation?
Okay, so for the data sets, we had collected them from the Rwandan Biomedical Center, which is still an ongoing process.
Hello, madam. I have one question, please. Can you clarify about data annotation? Actually, why we need data annotation, image annotation before pre-processing? What will happen if without data annotation, we train the model and validate, and what will happen if we ignore data annotation part actually?
Okay. To answer your question, if you can see the image of the four parasites, it's even very hard like for us to tell which is which. Okay, some of these like blue dots, we see the artifacts, but for instance, for this, can you see where I'm moving my mouse? This one is the parasite. This is like a late stage of Plasmodium falciparum, and these small dot ones are the early stages of the falciparum species. Again, when we come to the Plasmodium ovale, this one is parasite for the ovale species. And it's very hard, especially if they are in their early stage, it's very hard even for experienced microscopists to tell apart from one another. So what we are trying to do here is doing an instance segment. If you had looked at the results, here we are doing instance classification alongside the result of the probability that the model thinks this is a Plasmodium malariae or Plasmodium falciparum. So we have to go through and notate each and every parasites we see in the images we had collected. Otherwise, the model will learn something different.
Okay.
Or
Thank you so
garbage.
much. I got it, please. Thank you so much.
Yes, please.
Hello. So you collected data set from Rwanda by Medical Center. This is real world data set, I think.
Sorry?
How much instance do you have in your data set?
Okay, okay, initially we had 47 for Plasmodium falciparum and 77 for the Plasmodium malariae, 97 for Plasmodium ovale, and 80 for the Plasmodium vivax. And after we did augmentation, we were able to increase the number of images, even though they don't seem balanced. In terms of the number of instances, they were somehow balanced. For instance, even though we had like less number of images for the Plasmodium falciparum, the number of instances we had in each image were quite a number of. So for the falciparum, we had around 398 instances. For the malaria, we had 406. For ovale, 502, and for the vivax, we had around 410, a total of 1,716 instances.
you increase the data set using augmentation.
Sorry?
By augmentation, you increases the data set.
Yes, we had used augmentation to increase the number of images, but we only did horizontal and vertical flipping so that we don't mess around with the structure of the parasites and the contrast.
Okay. One more question beyond technical side. The malaria parasite, is there any variation in treatment plan based on malaria species?
Is there?
Any variation treatment plan variation based on the malaria species?
I'm sorry, I did not get your question.
Actually, I'm saying that you first detect the malaria parasite, then classified between 4 species.
Yes.
Is there any different treatment plan for each malaria species, or same treatment plan for all malaria species?
Oh, okay. For the treatment, I think it depends. And like one of the goals of this project is like it's a subset of a big project that will help fit into the picture of a health recommender system. And it depends. It depends for each species, and again, based on the severity of the infection.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Shamlat. I think Siti, let's continue with the next presenter. Thank you.
Chesna.
Oh, yeah, okay. I will share it right now. Okay, so hello everyone, it's me again, and I will try to go as fast as I can. Actually, I summarized the presentation to get this done quickly, okay? So, first of all, here's another of our research that is focused on sign language recognition. We titled this a novel technique that combines recurrent neural networks with auto models to achieve ensemble learning by majority voting applied in sign language recognition. It's another team which I also form part of. The content goes as the same as the previous one, so I will not focus on this. So, first of all, let's go to the introduction. Attention to inclusion by governments and private institutions has been pretty like a focus on how hearing people with hearing linguistic disabilities, how could they go through, and to enhance their the living they live. Okay, so sign language has been adapted to various languages. This is also one of the most difficult things. Each language has its own sign language. So if we want to translate someone from sign language to the one that we talk daily, we should also notice if it is on Spanish, English, French, etc. And this is why only a minority of the population can understand it properly. Here in Ecuador, it goes through less than the 5%. So machine learning models again are our best solution. And right now there is a lot of work to use them to recognize this type of language. Principally, there are processes like neural network, superprotected machines, random forests to achieve this. Why? Well, it's well known that neural networks are pretty good getting some patterns, and especially the recurrent neural networks ones. Okay, recurrent neural networks are a kind of neural network that in together with some LSTM, they could get better information from pattern. Also, as you have seen in my previous work with breast cancer, supervector machines are pretty good to get this kind of pattern. And when we try to process sign language, it's a good idea. Random forest, I also talked this on the previous presentation, and random forest is a pretty good technique to use because it combines the simplicity of getting um, like binary trees in with bagging. Random forest actually is combining binary trees with bagging. So our aim here was to improve the communication by accurately predicting gestures using a three-phase method, data preparation, cleaning, and a cutting-edge technique with a novel model based on majority voting. This majority voting is our own version of how this could work. Okay, so as I said, I will try to do this presentation pretty quickly, so I removed all the animations that this presentation has. So I will try to explain everything with this graphic, okay? But first of all, this research is a continuation of previous one that was presented in Mexico on 2023, and it is the second reference, I think, here. So I will show you later. Our research is using a dataset donated by Mohamed Kadouz. It contains 95 possible symbols. And it is based on English, and it was measured with a Nintendo Powerball device. And here is the difficult thing. And why did we choose this dataset? The Nintendo Powerball device it was designed to play on video games. It's well known the Nintendo business, right? So the Power Glove right now is you can find it in the trash. So if we could use all technology to achieve a modern to get good results in a modern problem, it will be great. And actually, we are getting on the university these kind of devices, and they are pretty cheap. Also, the Nintendo Power Glove gets several inputs, but in this, sorry, it gives us several outputs. It gives us the position on the on three axes, the X, Y, and Z, as we know. And also it gives us the position of each finger, if it is pressed or not. It doesn't have an angle, so the sign that we're trying to identify has also this problem. The Nintendo Power Glove doesn't have an angle of how much is a finger open or closed. Okay, so with all this context, let's go ahead. With the Nintendo Power Glove, we applied some data augmentation. It's a good technique to avoid underfitting, actually. And with that data augmentation, sorry, they're freezed. Okay. And with that data augmentation, we're trying two different techniques. I talked before about support vector machines, and the support vector machines were our first model trained in our first work. okay, that was present in Mexico, let's say. And first of all, we trained a recurrent neural network with an LSTM field and a random forest without anything else. So what did we do? Then we extract the probability. It's well known that neural networks, you could extract the probability of how accurately well or bad done was made a prediction. So we extracted it. And also on random forest, you could achieve the same by extracting the probability of each tree, right? And then we took out the weight about the for neural network, we set the weight of 0.7, and for random forest, we set a weight of 0.3. Why? Because on our first work, we noticed that random forest was good, but not good enough. And recurrent neural networks were awesome, but when you combine them by this, by multiplying the probabilities with this, you get a pretty good result. But you don't get the probability to see, okay, this sign has a better probability and this sign has not. No, we do a summation of probabilities here. That's why we multiply it by the weight. We multiply them and then we do a summation of probabilities, and then this summation results in the class of the highest probability, okay? It's something strange actually doing a summation of probabilities, but it works. Actually, it works. Mathematically, when you get this, this operation done, you could get directly the class, right? And actually, that's how the output on the sklearn model, sklearn library works on the random forest. And when we noticed this, we decided that we could apply the same technique to something bigger. So, when we've done this, we got pretty good results. Here, we should focus actually on accuracy and precision. Recall an FF1 score are a good parameter, but we focused on accuracy and prediction. So we get that actually doing botting is gets us a little bit more or a little bit of optimization than when we applied the random forest. But here is something particular. The recurrent neural network that shows in the third space is actually was actually pretty well optimized. And the pie stuff, the botting with the recurrent neural network that when we trained and tested was not optimized, was almost as stuck as it comes. And those were the results. We trained the recurrent neural networks with 4 layers, if I don't remember, 4 layers, and of course the layer of inputs and the layer of the output, okay? So there are 6 layers in total. And for conclusion, and actually I think there is something in the chat. Okay, yes, I'm concluding. Finally, in this research, we're given a deeper approach to the main problem related to hearing impaired people and how to understand sign language. We are able to achieve all of this with machine learning algorithms and focusing on neural networks and random forest here. But as I said, this is a continuation of a work where we use supported vector machines. And for future work, we are trying to combine the three of them, but we're getting some problems taking out the probabilities with support vector machines because they are pretty heavy. And when you add the parameter that didn't let us take out the probability, well, it gets too heavy. So we are facing a problem with memory. And sorry, actually, well, to finish this, because I'm running out of time, we suggest using the deep learning techniques and also to obtain more samples. Right now, we are applying these to new things to get this done. okay, to get all samples and to combine them with the samples donated by on the dataset that I told. And as you can see in the second reference, you could found our first job, then we used so the support vector machine, okay? And we're right now trying to combine them. All right. So if there is any question, I will be happy to answer again.
No question from me. I will come on to the last presenter. And thank you,
Okay.
everyone.
Okay, so we're finished. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much, sir, for your presentation. Latika ma'am, if you have any questions, you may ask our other participants. You still have a 3-minute time for the
Nice
Q&A.
presentation. No question. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So we'll proceed to the last presentation of today's session. I request Dr. Kannadasan sir to proceed with your presentation. And the title for the paper is Teacher Education for Quality Enhancement in the Age of Globalization in Developing Countries. You may start with your presentation now. We'll stop sharing the screen.
Thank you. Screen is visible, no? The screen is visible, no? Hello?
Visible, make a slideshow.
Hello? Yes, I slideshow only. Full slideshow. First, I thank you for paper selections for the 9th International Congress on Information Communication Technology ICT 2024 conducted in the London Unitec. Thank you for this is a nice conference to larger committee members to select papers on qualities requirements to select papers. Staff, thank you for congratulating our coordinators. My one of the title teacher is in how to quality engineer in the developing countries. Now India is a developing countries going there, so how do you teaching quality improvement in the age of globalization? So this is the my one of the survey paper. So you know most of the human good education sir. Nowadays a lot of depends upon the students standard to students knowledge persons and teachers how to teach students how to easily to knowledge to present the way target to the students to understand each and every is a critical stage in our life for in every citizen and also the every countries also. This is most challenges in our country in our countries not only more on that. There is a given chance to and how to develop your knowledge in the education sectors. So we can simply easily nowadays not of to easily to teach over the PPT percentage and otherwise easily to such an exams going to learn and then to speech that a lot of techniques involved in the students we easily develop the knowledge also. So these studies have improved a strong correlation between the education development. Therefore, nowadays United States and other universities are partial of orientation literacy in the fundamental knowledge the other education. Now healthcare education are responsibilities also. Therefore, the now what are the teacher educations? Now teach to how the information perspectives to easily to reach successfully the classroom, school or larger community to teach the something it like to reach over the world. That is the students or any other world. Okay, to easily to teach our others from the classroom to any other activities. This is the teacher skill sensitivity. Teacher is a major role. It is skill sensitivity, motivation, is a knowledge of the major role in the nature scope of the student performance also. So it is all the instances of the pedagogy structures. So each and every knowledge of the instructors need to provide all the students the best possibility in the learning settings also. So nowadays a lot of online teachings there, online coaching, a lot of Google Meet connecting meeting there. Any to easy to teach or how to the or easy to solve some how to examples to easily test from the online tests. You everyone you should your improve our students with result to improve the type of activities which are better the knowledge also. So this is the main further of institutional evidence based recommendation of teaching. Nowadays in India, lot of education policy going there. So we all the education policy depends on all the education policy. We improve each and every factors to improve our nations. Okay. Therefore, the education policy each and every sectors for UGC or AICT or anything like for rank commissions or the each and every for to quality education to learning to teaching from the teaching learning and also the student is the most two of the important factors in our nations also. So each and every factors to education policy, so some changes also based on the education. Therefore, the teachers education. So nowadays teacher education, lot of teacher educations to improve our students very like NPTEL courses, like your teacher you teach from others. The international gap is in syllabus. What are the gap is in other university syllabus? We compare all the portages, compare and also to teach to learning to each to improve our syllabus. So each and every guide student teacher knowledge also. This is most important factors in our countries and the most of the and also this is teaching learning process. So every doesn't classroom to teach or do a good quality in education to send to the to provide the students also. This is down the World Bank research and higher education global scale. That is the word of the research also. So research and instruction are some of the lower quality lyrics into free and possible and also to the okay. What is the globalization? Yes. Nowadays, the second largest system in the world is found in India. The education system in the world is found in India. The one R&D instructions for pre-primary, primary, secondary, higher education institutions and other higher institutions. Lot of based on the education sectors, based on the each and education policy. Each and every year or 4 years, 5 years, change some syllabus, change some qualities, pre-prime to higher levels, and a lot of being developed. This is the most important of our teacher education in the learning skills is more in the diversions also. Therefore, what is important? Not always the it is nothing but a create educators to professional skills. The responsibility to knowledge is also to academic level, pedagogical and practical abilities. Not for only using for pedagogy academic, with some input of for the students in practical abilities. So to yeah, nowadays a lot of students face some of the stress, including the personal and professional. Okay. So the type of stress should be removed. Some practical abilities to take classes. Some of the 10 to 15 to take the practical abilities to each land. This is an effective way to teach important of teacher education also. So this is to meet the new needs of the society and the teacher education. So more about the quality of education also. This is very more important to improve the quality of education. The teacher should be the higher level of growth and acceptance also. So nowadays, so that is my conclude this paper. This is one of the survey how to improve the teacher survey, how to teach learning, what are teacher equipment, what are the courses, what are the syllabus framing. This is some of the paper discussed in my research paper. So each and every school curriculum, higher education, higher education for UG, PG, or doing research in the field of the research, each and every curriculum should be changes. Okay, because good quality is the most important of our is our nation and also of our world economics is to improve our quality of the education also. Not only the important the environment, anything is for here. Nowadays a lot of courses availability nowadays courses is the a lot of courses. This is some of the references from taken from the papers. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Any ask the questions? Thank you. Anybody ask the questions now? Thank you.
Nice
Nice conference.
presentation.
First
Thank
side,
you.
thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Nice presentation on demanding topic. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
sir, for
you.
your
Thank you
presentation.
so far. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Latika. Thank you, Rudy and Sili, for your help. Thank you so much. Thank you
Thank
all
you,
for
Trimurti, for your
Yeah.
support.
Thank you, all the chairpersons. I would like to give my closing remarks and then we'll end the session.
All right, thank you.
Siddhi, can I say something?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Professor Trimurti, for sharing this session with me. And all the participants are presented the paper very nicely, but one submission from my side, they have to add one more slide in their presentation, that is the existing works uh, in their own area with their enhancement. Okay, thank you all. And thank you, team ICICT 2024 for giving me an opportunity as a technical session chair. Thank you. Over to Siddhi.
Thank you, ma'am. I sincerely thank our authors for the excellent presentations and contributions in this session, and all the participants for being a part of this international conference. I hope this session was informative enough, and on the behalf of the whole team, thank you for the support during the ninth version and all the previous eight versions of the conference. We will be happy to see you in the 10th version in 2025. All the presenters would be getting their digital certificates through email in within 2 working days. Further, all the papers have already been forwarded to the Springer. The publication will be live within 6 months. Kindly cooperate with the team. I also thank our session chair, Latika ma'am, and just let me share my screen. There is some issue with the screen. I'm so sorry for the interruption. Okay, I would want to thank the session chair, Dr. Latika Desai ma'am, and Timothy sir, for chairing today's session. A token of appreciation to the chair on the behalf of Team ICICT 2024 and Global Knowledge Research Foundation and partners. Thank you all for your valuable presence. And lastly, I kindly want to request all of you to turn on your cameras so that I can take a quick snapshot of this session. So I request all the participants and the chairpersons to kindly turn on your cameras. Okay, I've taken the snapshots. Thank you so much. You may end the session now, end the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Latika.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.